to remove, you know, your nipples, or not to remove your nipples. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Seyi and this is the Daily Shade. On this channel, I share fashion styling videos, fashion hauls, along with some fashion tips, beauty tips, life things, and a sprinkle of home things. So if any of that is right up your alley, then please feel free to subscribe. And as always, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in and being a real one. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a few tips on how you can properly style a bigger bust. Yes, this is for my bigger chested girlies. For reference, I am a 36 double D. You know, as you grow, your boobs also grow with you. And at one point when I was younger, I think the lowest I've ever been is like a C cup, and a full C at that. So I've always had a somewhat of a bigger chest, and you know, my second puberty hit and the tatas grew. They grew, okay? And it took some adjustment because I was just like, what is going on? What's happening? But I think that with some practice and just some trial and error, I figured out what works for me when it comes to styling my big chest. Because obviously, as y'all know, I love wearing clothes. I love dressing up. And I realized that not everything that is portrayed on the website will, you know, reflect accurately on my body type. And that goes to say for like anything really, like any body type, you know, any body shape. But specifically when it comes to the chest area, there are just certain things, especially as you're styling your upper half, that you have to think about as a bigger chested woman. So I completely empathize and sympathize with the fact that shopping for things with a much bigger chest can sometimes feel like a pain. So I hope that this video can give you some, I guess I would say, some hope, some comfort in knowing that like you're not alone, and that there are ways that you can style a big chest properly and look your best, feel your best. These are just tips that I've learned that have helped me feel more comfortable with dressing for my body type, and I just hope that I can bestow and pass on that information to you. So without further ado, if you would like to see my tips on styling a bigger bust, then just continue watching. My first tip is that I preferably try my hardest / I don't even shop for this thing anymore, is empire waist / peplum style tops. Now, the issue with these tops for me is that they have a tendency to voluminize the upper half of your body. Now, if you are a smaller chested woman, sure, perhaps that's what you're going for, and you know, it balances out the rest of your frame. But if you are a larger chested woman, already your top half is already voluminized by the boobies. They're already voluminized, they're already there, they already are taking up the space. And so when you're adding another piece of fabric that sort of bunches up at the top like that, it's only kind of disproportioning the size and your upper half. And so for me, I do not buy those items anymore. If you are a peplum top fan or you love an empire waist, what you can go for instead is a wrap style top. The beauty about a wrap style top is that the fact that it sort of crosses over the chest, it kind of breaks up the chest in a flattering way that while obviously, you know, your boobs are there, like they're not going to go anywhere, they're not necessarily the center of attention when it comes to that top. You know, a lot of them, they're wrapped so you can wrap them around and kind of tie them to the front, tie them to the side, tie them to the back. But you can play around with like the placement of the, you know, the wrap itself. It balances out the fullness of your chest. My second tip, when it comes to different tops or dresses, I usually 9 times out of 10 will opt for a scoop neck, a V-neck, or some sort of square neck top. It's my preference. I think that it allows the attention to be drawn to the chest area without all the attention being drawn to your boobs. See, with this dress, obviously my chest is here, like she's not going anywhere. But you also see my décolletage. You see this area of my chest is very much exposed, but I'm not giving super cleavage. I'm not giving, you know, super boobage. I'm just sort of giving chest. And so by doing this, it creates this illusion that one, it's kind of balancing out my top frame. With this particular style, I love tops and dresses like this just because I feel like it's a nice balancing act going on. It's still drawing attention, but it doesn't make my boobs look too big. Like, in fact, it just feels like, you know, my boobs are kind of right where they need to be. Whereas a higher top can sometimes, depending on the type of bra you're wearing, you know, can sometimes make your boobs like they're sitting up here. So this is definitely one of my favorite styles of tops. I have a lot of tops that are just like this in this kind of scoop neck, square neck situation. I love a V-neck when it comes to a t-shirt as well. It's my preference, especially like I mentioned with the wrap top. A V-neck kind of, you know, gives the illusion that the chest is dropping a bit more so the boobs aren't looking like too like just in your face like that. So that is tip number 2 when it comes to styling your bigger chest. Now this is a great segue to bras, because bras are not made all equal, and especially if you are bigger chested, depending on your preference and what you're comfortable with, these are my recommendations. For me, I prefer to go with bras that are not lined. Now my preference for that is because I feel like it allows my boobs to breathe. Number 1, it allows my boobs to breathe because they're there. So the girls are there, they're big, and they need a little space, they need a little breathing room. My slight qualm with other bras that are lined or kind of have some padding in them is that I do feel like they have a tendency to make my boobs look bigger than they actually are. And I mean, that's usually what padded bras do. They tend to make your boobs look a little more bigger, especially like padded push-up bras. Those are intended for that purpose. But if you are a bigger chested girl, I would highly recommend getting like a number of unlined bras. Some of my favorites are from Cup. Cup makes, a plethora of different unlined bras, and I think that they are perfect. Now, obviously with unlined bras, you do have the issue of the nipples kind of poking and, shooting at you. So if you're not comfortable with that, which is totally okay, totally fair, then I would recommend getting inserts, like, bra inserts, the ones that usually come in most bras. Usually they come in like sports bras. I usually just take them out of sports bras and stick them, into my unlined bra. But that will eliminate the issue of your nipples kind of poking out. I literally have that on right now. The bra I have is completely unlined, but I do have the inserts in it just because, I didn't want my nipples to be poking out on camera. The inserts are a perfect way to get the coverage of the nipple without getting the super padding of a padded bra and making the chest look larger. But honestly, unlined bras, I feel like are your best friend if you're a big boob girl. You can always just stick an insert in there to remove, your nipples, or not to remove your nipples, but to avoid them from poking out as, like prevalent. But they're a great way to still get the support you need without getting the extra support and then extra, coverage and padding that may be unnecessary for someone with your chest size. So back to clothing wise, when I decide to wear like turtlenecks, by default, just kind of make your chest look larger. No matter if you got small chest, bigger boobs, it don't matter. By default, they just make your boobs look bigger. And so I usually tend to go for, a bottom that kind of also draws the eye, like something that may be a little bit more voluminous, like a tailored pant is a great option. A midi skirt, even a mini skirt that sort of flares out is a great option. Even like, like those bias cut skirts, those are great options as well because they tend to voluminize the hip area just a bit. So this is just a clothing exception if you're willing to do it. Again, not by force, but it is my preference when I know I'm wearing a turtleneck top to sort of visually just balance everything out. So to that point with turtleneck sweaters, even our turtleneck tops, even when I'm wearing turtleneck tops, if I'm really want to be super, super warm, then I'll layer a turtleneck, like a fitted turtleneck underneath a sweater. But if I'm just wanting to go for like a little bit of warmth, then I'll usually opt for a turtleneck sweater that is a bit more looser on the top. Like I mentioned, I like to play with dimensions, so if it's tighter on the bottom, I like to go looser on the top and vice versa. But I also do feel that having looser garments on the top do help to kind of de-accentuate the boobies. Again, not to conceal them, but just to sort of make it more balanced. This also goes for button-up tops. For me, I like to usually go for like oversized button-up tops. I don't normally go for like my exact size. If I do, I make sure that the style of the top is like more oversized than not. It just provides a better balance when it comes to your chest. Obviously, smaller chested girls can really get away with wearing a really like fitted button down. It doesn't really do anything. But the thing about us bigger chested girls and button downs is that you gotta button it. And while the back of the top may fit you, because you might already be stretching in this nether region, you're stretching the shirt over more surface area. Once you button it, you have two things going on. It's either that it fits perfectly and you have no issue, or there's a gap happening. And that's one of my fashion style pet peeves, is when that gap happens in any piece of clothing. So this is why I'm saying go for a more oversized fit, or up a size. If it's not an oversized fit, then go up a size. If it is an oversized fit, then keep your regular size, because for a fact that when you button it, it's going to cover everything. You're not going to have the issue of having to maybe pin the shirt together so that you're not, exposing your bra or anything like that. And it just also just looks good. It looks really good. And to that point, and I mentioned this in another video, but when it comes to button-ups, try to not button it all the way up. I found, while I do think that the old, like, button it all the way up isn't a bad look. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I think that for a bigger chest, it has a tendency to make the chest look much bigger. And if that's what you want, then by all means, you go ahead. I ain't gonna stop you. But for me, it is not what I want. So I usually just leave like 3 buttons, and I, just do the flap as usual. And kind of same situation like with this dress, I like to leave some of the chest exposed. It, to me, provides a balance to what is going on my upper half. Oh, what is going on? Having some of the buttons open and having some of the chest exposed is a really nice look, and I think that it's extremely flattering, and it just provides balance to the upper half of your chest. So that's my preference, but again, if you like to button your top all the way up, I ain't gonna stop you. And yes, that wraps up my tips on how to style a bigger chest. These are all the tips that I have implemented into my own personal styling, and I hope that these are tips that can help you. So I hope you find this video very helpful, and as always, I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Until next time, bye.